Good morning and welcome to Probate Court number 2. I'm Judge Brooke Allen. We are live streaming today on YouTube. I will remind you, if you're joining us on YouTube, you are absolutely welcome to watch, but recording or reproduction is prohibited and you can be held in contempt of court. Mr. Crawford, thank you for filing your hearing letter, and I believe your client is next to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. The estate of Henry Justice. All right. And I see a notary is there with you. So if our notary will sign in Mr. Wendell Justice.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Crawford, I have one person in the waiting room. It says a Suzanne Kuda. Is that anyone you know that would be related to this estate?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you please state your name for the court?
Wendell Ray Justice.
Okay. And are you a resident of Texas?
Yes, I am.
And how did you know Henry Justice, the decedent?
He's my father.
Okay. Is it true that your father passed away at the age of 99 on July 19th of 2020?
He did.
And is it true that your father had a fixed place of residence in Tarrant County, Texas upon his passing?
He did.
And is it true that 4 years has not elapsed since the day your father passed away?
It's true.
Okay. What I'm going to show you is what is a copy of your father's will. So do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Had you previously been in possession of your father's original will?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And did you give that original will to our firm? And okay. And it's your understanding that we filed that original will with the court. Is that true?
Yes, I did. Or you did.
Okay. So I'm going to show you on page 2 where your father signs this will as the testator. And is it true that he signed the will on October 23rd of 1981?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recognize his signature on this page?
Yes.
Okay. And then starting at the bottom of page 2, and it goes along to page 3, that after the two witnesses have also signed the will, there's additional language stating that your father and the witnesses were under oath or they were duly sworn, and they make statements such as they were all present and that your father was over the age of 18, they were over the age of 14, and language and such here. And below that, they've all signed again, and then it's been notarized. Do you recognize your father's signature on this page?
Yes, I did.
And was this page also signed on October 23rd of 1981?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Is it true that there's a necessity for an administration of this estate?
Yes.
And is that necessity to transfer assets to beneficiaries?
Yes.
Okay. And is it true that, to the best of your knowledge, that this will has never been revoked?
Yes.
Okay. Is it true that no children were born to or adopted by your father after the date he made this will?
Yes.
Is it true that no marriage of your father's was dissolved by divorce after the date he made this will?
Yes.
Okay. Is it true that no state or government agency of the state or any charity or charitable organization is named in this will as a beneficiary?
Yes.
Is it true that your father names you to serve as the independent executor of his estate?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No.
Have you ever been adjudicated as mentally incompetent?
No.
Okay. Is it true that that you are not disqualified by law from accepting letters testamentary or from serving as an independent executor, and that you are entitled to letters testamentary as the person named in your father's will?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, do you believe the proof required for probate has been made?
Yes.
And are you asking this court to accept your father's will into probate and to grant you letters testamentary?
Yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Justice, I have what I believe to be the original will. I'm going to show that to you and ask you a couple questions. It's been file marked. That's page 1. Page 2, is that the signature that you mentioned earlier to Mr. Crawford?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And the last page is page 3. Does this appear to be the original that you delivered to Mr. Crawford or his office?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. I will find that Henry Edward Justice was a resident of Tarrant County when he passed away, and you have proved up his will in accordance with Texas law. I'll admit his will to probate, and I'll find you're a proper person to serve as independent executor. Mr. Justice, if you'll raise your right hand one more time. Do you, Henry Edward Justice, Wendell Ray Justice, solemnly swear that the writing which has been offered for probate is the last will and testament of Henry Edward Justice, so far as you know or believe, and will you well and truly perform all the duties of independent executor of his will and his estate?
I do.
Thank you. I'm going to send this order along with some information to Mr. Crawford. He's going to forward that to you. That information is going to tell you your rights and obligations as an independent executor, but it doesn't substitute for Mr. Crawford, and I trust you'll continue to work with him.
All right.
All right. Thank you all very much. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Good morning and welcome to Probate Court 2. Good morning and welcome to Probate Court 2. I'm Judge Brooke Allen and we are live streaming on YouTube today. So I'm going to remind you just not to get into specifics for the protection of your client and the decedent, but of course I need you to meet your burden under Texas law. I'll also remind those watching us today, you're absolutely welcome to watch, but recording or reproduction is prohibited and you can be held in contempt. Ms. Kuda, you're on mute, so I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. And then your hearing letter says that there is a notary there to swear in your witness?
Yes.
Okay. If the notary will swear in our witness and...
Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Kuda.
Ready to go. Okay. Would you state your name, please?
Roy Bailey.
And you are the applicant to probate the will of John Wayne Bailey as a muniment of title. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he died on June 20th in Arlington. Is that
Yes.
right? He lived in Tarrant County.
Yes, he did.
That was his domicile. He had property in Tarrant County. Is that right?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you a digital copy of a document. Do you recognize this as John's will?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And as far as you know, he never changed his will, never revoked this will, had a new will after that.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And now there's no need to administer this estate. Is that right? That
No.
It's directly, basically we just are transferring property to you.
Yes.
He had no children that were born to him or adopted by him after the will was made.
No.
He was not divorced after the date of the will.
No.
The will does not name the state of Texas or a governmental agency or a charity as a beneficiary, does it?
No.
Okay. And there are no debts outstanding against the estate at this time. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And he never received any Medicaid benefits. And you're asking the court today to grant probate of his will as a muniment of title. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. There were a couple cutouts. You're Latrice Bailey, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did John ever apply for or receive Medicaid?
No, he did not.
And is his funeral paid for?
Yes, it is.
All right. If he had any medical bills or credit cards, are those all paid for?
Those are all paid.
Okay. Were you in possession of his original last will and testament?
Yes,
Did you deliver that to Ms. Kuda or her office?
I did.
Is it your understanding she delivered it to the court?
Yes.
Okay. I have what I believe to be the original. I'm going to show that to you. It has been file marked. It is typewritten other than the initials at the bottom. And I'll represent to you that each page is typed other than those initials until page 5. Are you familiar with Mr. Bailey's handwriting?
Yes, I am.
showing you on page 5 what I'm pointing to. Is that his signature?
It's pretty good signature there. You can read it.
Is that his signature?
That's typical.
Okay. Is that his signature?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Page 7 appears to be signatures from the witnesses, and then this is the last page. No, excuse me, that's page 7. 6 was the signatures of the witnesses. Does that appear to be the original that you delivered to Ms. Kuda?
Yes, it does.
I will find that John Wayne Bailey was a resident of Tarrant County when he passed away, and you have proved of his will in accordance with Texas law. I'll find there's no need for a formal administration, and I'll admit his will to probate as a muniment of title. And since you're the sole beneficiary, I'll waive the compliance affidavit as well. I am going to send the order along with some information to Ms. Kuda. She'll send that to you, but I trust you'll continue to work with her.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Bailey, you'll continue to work with Ms. Kuda on this matter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all very much. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome.
Bye.
All right. If you are joining us on YouTube, welcome to Probate Court 2. We are a little ahead of schedule, so I'm going to look at the next case, and it looks like they may actually be ready, and if so, we'll take them a little early. We ask everybody to file hearing letters so that we know who we're looking for in our waiting room. Our virtual waiting room. It was really easy when they were in court. Good morning and welcome to Probate Court 2. Mr. Tyler, it may mute you when you join us. Actually, I'm not showing that you have a microphone connected. So I'm not sure that you can hear us. Can't hear you. I'm assuming you can't hear me. If you're joining us on YouTube, this is unfortunately par for the course. It's why Zoom takes us 2 to 3 times longer. Well, some of why Zoom takes us 2 to 3 times longer and is really backing up our docket. Certainly, uncontested matters can be handled by Zoom, as long as attorneys and our taxpayers don't mind waiting longer for a hearing, then that's certainly something we can do. For contested matters, it's a little different issue. All right, Mr. Tyler, you have sound now, but I'm gonna need you to unmute yourself and I'll welcome you to Probate Court 2. While you're doing that, I'll remind you that we are live streaming on YouTube. So while I need you to meet your burden under Texas law, please don't get into too many specifics for the protection of your client and our decedent. The estate of Dorothy Jean Hill, and it's an application to probate as a muniment of title.
Yes.
My understanding there's a notary present as well.
Yes, there is.
Okay. Ms. Bow, if you'll please raise your right hand. And if our notary will ask her if she swears to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God.
Do you swear or affirm that the content, or that you are here to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, go ahead and state your name for the court.
Anita K. Hill, Bow.
And you are the daughter of Dorothy Jean Hill, who's the decedent.
Yes.
She passed away on February 26, 2020 in Hurst, Tarrant County, Texas. And she was domiciled in Hurst at the time of her death.
Yes.
Okay. At the time of her death, she owned real property at 505 Cactus Trail in Hearst, and that was her domicile as well.
Yeah.
Did she ever apply for or receive Medicaid benefits on or after March 1st, 2005? Okay.
Ma'am, was that an,
That's a no. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we
okay,
get her.
Mr. Tyler, I need to hear it from her.
Okay.
No,
All right, thank you.
All right. And she left a valid will, which I've got a copy of, which was dated July 3rd, 1981. Was
yes,
this will ever revoked knowledge?
no,
And on the second page of the will, do you recognize that is the signature of Dorothy Jean Hill?
yes,
Okay. And the will actually named Guy Hill, which was her husband, as the independent executor,
yes,
and he predeceased the
yes,
testator. Okay. Were there any children born to or adopted by the decedent after the date of her will?
no,
Okay. And there was no marriage of hers ever dissolved after the will was made?
no,
And neither a state or governmental agency, the state, or a charitable organization is named as a
no,
trustee of this will. Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, were there any unpaid debts owed by the estate?
no.
Okay. All right. Pass the witness.
Ma'am, were you in possession of the original will after Dorothy passed away?
It was in her house in a safe and we
Okay.
brought it.
But you took possession of it and took it to Mr. Tyler or his office?
Yes,
Is it your understanding he filed it with the court?
yes,
I'm going to show you what I believe to be the original will.
Okay.
File marked.
yes, that looks like it. Mhm.
And were you familiar with Dorothy's signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What I'm pointing to, is that her signature?
Yes,
And does this appear to be the original will that you delivered to Mr. Tyler or his office?
yes,
Has Dorothy's funeral been paid for?
yes.
If she had any medical bills or credit cards, are all those paid for?
All are paid for, or they've reimbursed us extra that was paid.
All right, thank you. You can call your next witness, Mr. Tyler.
Okay, I'll call Frederick Paige Elson. All right.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right.
All right. Frederick Paige.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you to put the camera on Mr. Nelson so that I can see him. Thank you.
There you go. And you were personally acquainted with Dorothy Jean Hill,
Yes, I was her neighbor.
and you were well acquainted with her handwriting and her signature.
Yes,
And on the document, the copy of the document that I have here, which is her will dated July 3rd, 1981, do you recognize the signature of that of Dorothy?
yes,
Jean
I
Hill?
do.
Okay. And to your knowledge, she was a sound mind, and 18 years of age, over 18 years of age at the time she executed.
She was 29 and holding. Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
okay. I'll pass the witness.
I'm gonna show you what I believe to be the original will, the second page. What I'm pointing to, is that Dorothy's signature?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. And are you receiving anything from this estate?
No, I am not.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Tyler?
That's it.
All right, if you can go back to Ms. Bowe, please.
Okay,
I will find that Dorothy Jean Hill was a resident of Tarrant County when she passed away, and you have proved up her will in accordance with Texas law. I'll admit her will to probate as a muniment of title, but I am going to require the compliance affidavit because it appears there's more than just one beneficiary. So your attorney will help you with that. I'll send him the order along with some information. It's going to tell you about a muniment of title, but I trust you'll continue to work with Mr. Tyler.
Yes.
All right. Thank
All
you
right,
very
thank you.
much. Have a good week.
you too.
You too.
Thank you. Right, if you are joining us on YouTube, you are welcome to watch, but you cannot record or reproduce this in any manner. You can be held in contempt of court. We had several cancellations, unfortunately, especially when Zoom backlogs our docket. We hate to have cancellations because we know there's a lot of people waiting, and unfortunately, we're booking in December right now. So if you're out there watching and you're an attorney or a client, please, when you book a hearing, make sure that you are ready to go forward so that we don't have to cancel you and take time away from other people. Because we have several minutes before our next one, I am going to get some other work done, lots of inventories on each of these estates, and once its immuniment come in, as well as all the guardianship matters, mental health, and the contested litigation regarding estates or a guardianship. So lots going on at Probate Court 2, and I will see you guys back in about 30 minutes. Well, welcome if you are on YouTube watching. Welcome to Probate Court number 2. I'm Judge Brooke Allen. I will remind you, you are absolutely welcome to watch, but you are prohibited from recording or reproducing in any manner. You can be held in contempt of court. I believe we have our attorney, let's see, Michael Parham is on the next case, the case of the estate of Ronald Dean Goad, deceased. They are set for 10:50. So it is 10:49. They've got a minute, so hopefully they will be here soon and connected to audio. Right now they cannot hear us, so we are going to give them a few minutes. And we'll look at a couple other things while we're waiting on them. If we don't see them, we'll take the next case if they are ready. Mr. Parham, you're now connected to audio. Welcome to Court 2. I will remind you we are live streaming on YouTube, so while I need you to meet your burden under Texas law, of course, please don't get into too many specifics for the protection of your client as well as the witness. It's my understanding you have a notary with you. You're muted, so you're going to have to unmute yourself. So it should tell you how to unmute yourself either at the bottom left or if there's 3 little dots on the right of your picture.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a notary to swear in your client. All right, Ms. Gilbert, if you will please raise your right hand. And Ms. Mccombs, well, I'm going to ask Mr. Parham if you'll let the 2 witnesses be in the screen, please, and then I'll just hear your voice. All right, ladies, if you'll please raise your right hand. The notary is going to ask you if you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
There should be a notary there to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the notary. What does she need to do?
You swear to tell the.
Hi, can you ask them if they swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Go
Yes.
ahead, Mr. Parham. You can put your hands down, ladies. And Mr. Parham, if you would like to stand somewhere else, I mean no offense, but I don't need to see you. I need to see the witnesses testifying. So if y'all want to distance that way, however it works. Go ahead.
At this time, I would call Delia Virginia Gilbert, also known as Virginia Sharon Gilbert.
Okay.
And Ms. Gilbert, I believe that you are one of the applicants application to probate a will of Ronald Dean Goad and for issuance of letter testamentary in this case. Is that correct?
Okay, Mr. Parham, I can't hear you. Mr. Parham, I just need you to speak up. I mean, I hear some of you, just not everything. All right, now I don't hear anything at all. These are the challenges of Zoom.
Okay, at this time, I will call Delia Virginia Gilbert, also known as Virginia Sharon Gilbert. Ms. Gilbert, I believe that you are one of the applicants in this application for the probate of a will and issuance of letters testamentary. Is that correct? And I believe
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I heard your yes, but I need to hear something. I'm seeing this. Okay, thank you.
And I believe that you are an individual interested in this estate as a named alternate independent co-executor and devisee in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that
I'm sorry. Mr. Barham, can you scoot back a little bit so I can see her? And then your voice is coming in clear now that you're facing the camera. And then I'll be able to see
Mine,
her.
it's not, okay.
Okay, that's better though. That's better. Okay. Okay.
okay, and I believe that Mr. Ronald Dean Gold died on July 21st, 2020 in Tarrant County, state of Texas at the age of 88 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that this court has jurisdiction of this proceeding and that Mr. Gold had a fixed place of residence and domicile in Tarrant County, Texas on his date of death. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that Mr. Gold owned real and personal property described generally as cash securities of a probable value, real estate and personal property of a probable value in excess of $5,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that Mr. Gold left a valid written will dated April 24th, 2013. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that this will was never revoked or amended so far as you know. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'll show you now what purports to be a copy of that original will that is filed with the court that we're asking to be probated today of Mr. Ronald Dean Gold. And do you recognize that will as being Mr. Gold's will that we're asking to be probated today?
Yes.
Initials on there as well as his signature on pages 3 and 4 of that will.
Yes.
And I believe that this will was made and executed by Mr. Gold when he was of sound mind. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the subscribing witnesses to this will dated April 24th, 2013 were Matthew Parham and Delphina Del Angel, who were both residents of the state of Texas at the time that this will was made. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this will was made in the manner prescribed by law. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, there were no children born to or adopted by the decedent after the date of this will. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there was no marriage of the decedent ever dissolved after this will was made, whether by divorce, by annulment, or a declaration the marriage is void. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that a necessity exists for the administration of this estate. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, I believe that this will named a Frances Loretta Gold, who was decedent's wife and the applicant's sister. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, she was named to serve as the executor of this will, but Frances Loretta Gold has predeceased Mr. Gold, the decedent. Is that correct?
Yes.
Bill named both you, Delia Virginia Gilbert, aka Virginia Sharon Gilbert, and Mary Marie Mccombs as alternate independent co-executors in said will of Mr. Gold. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that you are the sister-in-laws of Mr. Gold. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that you are requesting that the court allow both you and your sister to be appointed the independent co-executors to serve without bond and with power of sale, with all the powers as stated in the will, and to receive letters testamentary. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe that both you and your sister are qualified and are not disqualified by law to accept letters testamentary. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you been convicted of a felony?
No.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude?
No.
And have you ever been declared by a court to be incompetent?
No.
And as we stated, you reside in the state of Texas. Is that correct?
Yes.
And are you willing to serve in the capacity as the independent co-executor of the will of Ronald Dean Gold? Now, there's no state governmental agency of the state or charitable organization named by the will as a devotee. Is that correct? And there's no necessity for appraisers to be appointed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And are you asking the court at this time to admit the last will and testament as filed with the court, the subject of this proceeding today, of Mr. Ronald Dean Gold, admit that to probate and to appoint you and your sister as as independent co-executors of this will, and to issue you letters testamentary? I pass witness.
Okay. Ms. Gilbert, there was something about decedent's wife and sister. Decedent's wife was not his sister, correct?
Was my sister.
No, was your sister. Okay.
Yes, she is my sister.
You and Mary Mccombs are Mr. Goad's sister-in-laws, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Were you in possession of the original will when Mr. Goad passed away? Ms. Gilbert?
It was in his lockbox.
Okay. Did you take possession of it?
Yes.
Okay. And did you deliver that to your attorney?
Yes.
Is it your understanding he delivered it to the court?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Parham, I don't know if you're trying to prompt the witnesses or not, but shouldn't be done. Okay, Ms. Gilbert, so you delivered the original will to Mr. Parham?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to show you what I believe to be the original will. It's been file marked, and there are initials at the bottom. I'll represent to you that it is typewritten other than the initials. And were you familiar with Mr. Goad's signature?
Yes.
All right, is this the signature you identified earlier that I'm pointing?
Yes. Yes. Actually, I was with him when he signed it, so.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ms. Gilbert to testify, okay? Ms. Mccombs, you'll have your chance in a minute. And this is the last page. Does that appear to be the original will that you delivered to your attorney?
Yes.
Okay, and what you've been looking at, is that a true and correct copy of the original?
Yes, it is.
All right, Mr. Parham, you can call your next witness.
At this time, I would call Marie Mccombs.
Okay.
Ms. Mccombs, you've heard all of the questions that I had just asked your sister in this matter. If I were to ask you the same questions, would your answers be the same as your sister?
Yes.
And in regards the original will in this matter, the question was, I believe, who delivered this original will to the court? And who did that?
I delivered the original will to the court in Fort Worth, yes.
You'll go over qualifications, please.
I'm sorry?
If you'll go over qualifications, please.
In other words, you were qualified and not disqualified to be appointed the alternate independent co-executor in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude?
No.
Have you ever been convicted or found by a court to be incompetent?
No.
And you reside in the state of Texas?
Yes.
And you're over 18 years of age?
Yes.
And Ms. McCombs, what I showed earlier, did that appear to be the original will you delivered to the court? You cut out.
Yes.
Thank you. I will find that Ronald Dean Goad was a resident of Tarrant County when he passed away, and that the two of you have proved up his will in accordance with Texas law. I'll admit his will to probate, and I'll find you're both proper to serve as independent co-executors. If you'll please both raise your right hands one more time. Do you, Delia Virginia Gilbert, also known as Virginia Sherwin Gilbert, and Mary Marie Mccombs, solemnly swear that you will both faithfully execute the duties of independent co-executors of the will and the estate of Ronald Dean Goad?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to send the order along with some information to your attorney. Mr. Parham's going to send that to you. It's going to tell you about being an independent executors. But it doesn't substitute for Mr. Parham. I trust that you'll both work together and work with him.
Yes.
All right. Thank y'all very much. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. I can't hear you.
We need to e-file the oath and the proof after we have them notarized, or just email them?
No, you need to file them.
File?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Good morning and excuse me, welcome to Probate Court 2. Good morning and welcome to Probate Court 2. You are going to be on mute, so Mr. Wilson, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. I'll also remind you while you're doing that, we are live streaming on YouTube today, so while I need you to meet your burden under the law, please too many specifics for the protection of your client and the decedent. Mr. Wilson, you didn't file a hearing letter as we asked, so I'm not sure if we're looking for anyone else.
I'm sorry. I thought I did. I'm sorry. Did I not?
You didn't. Is there anyone else I should be looking for in the virtual waiting room?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have a notary with you, or are you a notary?
I'm a notary, and we also have one in the back, but I was going to do the notary.
Okay. All right. Ms. Miller, if you'll please raise your right hand, and Mr. Wilson, if you'll swear her in.
You solemnly swear affirm testimony about to give and cause now pending for this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
All right. And your name is Christy Miller,
Yes.
and your mother's name was Paula Diane Clements,
Yes.
and she died about May 14th of 2019 in Hurst, Texas,
Yes.
and that's in Tarrant County,
Yes.
and she was 72 years of age.
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, did she have a will?
Yes, she did.
And I'm showing you now a copy of what's purported to be a will in this case. Have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
Matter of fact, we
Yes,
executed it right across the hall.
Yes.
Okay. And are these in the corner? Is that your mom's initials?
Yes.
And on the last page, is that your mom's signature?
Yes.
Okay. And we need necessity exists to for administration because she's got bank accounts and some debts.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as you know, was the will self-proved?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as you know, did she ever revoke that will?
No, she did not.
And no state or governmental agency or charitable organization was named in the will?
No.
And was there any child born or adopted after that date?
No.
And was any marriage of hers dissolved after the date of that will?
No.
And the will named you as independent executrix to serve without bond.
Yes.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Can you go over qualifications, please?
My qualification.
Oh. Have you ever before been convicted of felony in this state, any other state of courts of the United States?
No.
And are you, as far as you know, you are eligible to
Yes.
be the executrix of this will?
Yes.
Okay. Do you live in Texas?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Okay. And have you ever been adjudicated incompetent by any court?
No.
And Ms. Clemens, did she live in Tarrant County?
She did.
Were you in possession of the original will after she passed away?
Yes, I was.
Did you deliver that to your attorney?
Yes, I did.
Is it your understanding he delivered it to the court?
Yes.
I have what I believe to be the original will. I'm going to show that to you. It has been file marked. And it is typed other than the initials on each page until we get to page 4, which is the last page. And I'll note that the pages aren't numbered, which is fine. It's just something that helps you identify the original. You were familiar with Ms. Clemens' signature?
Yes.
All right. What I'm pointing to, is that the signature of Ms. Clemens?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And does this appear to be the original will?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And what you were looking at earlier, is that a true and correct copy of the original?
Yes.
Thank you. I will find that Paula Diane Clemens was a resident of Tarrant County when she passed away, and you have proved up her will in accordance with Texas law. I'll admit her will to probate, and I'll find you a proper person to serve as independent executrix. If you'll raise your right hand one more time. Do you, Christina Miller, solemnly swear that the writing which has been offered for probate is the last will and testament of Paula Diane Clemens, so far as you know or believe, and will you well and truly perform all the duties of independent executrix of her will and her estate?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to send the order along with some information to your attorney, and he'll send that to you. It's going to talk about your rights and obligations as an independent executrix, but it doesn't substitute for Mr. Wilson, and I trust you'll continue to work with him.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all very much. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Payne, and welcome to Probate Court 2. You are on mute, so while you're getting off mute, I'll just remind you that we are live streaming on YouTube. So I'll ask you, obviously, to meet your burden under Texas law, but not to get into too many specifics for the protection of the privacy of your client and the decedent. And it looks like you are here with Mr. Stevenson. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. And there's a notary with you?
I am a notary, Your Honor.
Okay, well, Mr. Stevenson, if you'll please raise your right hand and you will be sworn in. Go ahead.
Mr. Stevenson, do you swear that your testimony today will be true and accurate to the best of your abilities? Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Payne.
Mr. Stevenson, would you state your full name and your relationship to the decedent?
David Keith Stevenson, and I'm her son.
Okay. Is it your testimony today that Maria Lamance died on June 17, 2020, in Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Texas? She was at the age of 84 years, and 4 years have now elapsed since that day.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Stevenson, if you're reading something, I'm going to ask you just to actually listen to the questions and answer them.
Listen to my question.
Okay.
I just gave you that for reference.
Okay. No,
I didn't
okay.
realize you were reading it.
Okay. I was just going along with what you were saying.
Okay. And is it your testimony that she was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Tarrant County at the date of her death?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to show you a document that we filed for probate. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
And you'll notice that the date is June 14th, 2005. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you recognize your mother's signature?
Yes, I do.
Do you recognize it there?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And as far as you know, this will was never revoked?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. And she had no children, or none were born or adopted to her after the date of this will.
No.
And no marriage was ever dissolved. Necessity for administration of the estate, because there's real property that needs to be sold, correct?
Yes.
And in the will, neither the state of Texas, a governmental agency, or charitable organization is named as a beneficiary.
No.
And the will named you as the independent executor of your mother's estate.
Yes.
And we have determined that you're qualified to serve because you're not incapacitated, you haven't been convicted of a felony, and you are a resident of the state of Texas.
Yes.
Correct. And you're entitled to those letters testament.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, I could have missed this. It was very soft, but do you live here in Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you in possession of the original will after Marie passed away?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you deliver that to Mr. Payne?
Yes, I did.
And is it your understanding he delivered it to the court?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to show you what I believe to be the original. It has been file marked. And it's typed other than the signature at the bottom until page 3. And you were familiar with Marie's handwriting, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that her signature that I'm pointing to?
Yeah, that's my mother's signature.
Okay. And
Seen it many times.
does this appear to be the original that you delivered?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I will find that Marie A. Laymance was a resident of Tarrant County when she passed away, and you have proved up her will in accordance with Texas law. I'll admit her will to probate, and I'll find you a proper person to serve as independent executor. If you'll please raise your right hand again. Do you, David Keith Stevenson, solemnly swear that the writing which has been offered for probate is the last will and testament of Marie A. Laymance, so far as you know or believe, and will you well and truly perform all the duties of independent executor of her will and her estate?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm going to send the order as well as some information to Mr. Payne. He'll send that to you. It's going to tell you your rights and obligations as an independent executor, but it doesn't substitute for him, and I trust you'll continue to work with him throughout this matter.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Have a good rest of your week.
You
Okay.
too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if you're joining us on YouTube, welcome to Probate Court 2. You are absolutely welcome and encouraged to watch, but I will remind you, you may not record or reproduce this in any manner. You can be held in contempt of court. We have a couple minutes till our next hearing, so I will see y'all back in just a minute. Good morning, Ms. Kimball. I'm told that you can hear me, but I definitely don't have video. Okay, it says the UCam is starting. So I will just remind those who are joining us on Facebook while we're waiting that you are absolutely welcome to watch us, but you are prohibited from recording and or reproducing in any manner. You can be held in contempt of court. We are here on a Monday morning docket. This is the estate of Jimmy E. Williams. Welcome, Ms. Kimball. I had information that your client would be on a different Zoom. Is that your client with you? Okay, I don't have sound. I can't hear you. You're not on mute, so maybe it's a matter of turning it up, or sometimes it's speaking into the camera. No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. No. While you're working on that, I will remind you we are live streaming on YouTube. So while I need you to meet your burden under Texas law, I'm going to ask you not to get into too many specifics for the protection of your client and the decedent. I can't. I will tell you that the information that was sent out to you to connect also has a phone number, so you can call in on your phone and get audio from the phone, and then we'll have the video feed from your computer. Ms. Kimball, if y'all can try and call in on the phone on the number that was provided, and then we'll have audio through the phone and video through. Okay. I think I see it. I am going to mute your computer now because otherwise we may get some feedback. Your phone is on mute, so if you'll unmute your phone.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Sorry about that. I tested everything right before we logged in for it to
That's
be working.
hard for the course for Zoom. Y'all are going to have to really speak into the phone because I can't.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes. All right. Is there a notary there to swear in your client?
Yes. My client is Sherilyn Gilly. She'll be my only witness for today.
Okay. Is there a notary there to swear her in?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
She was right.
Okay. I can't. All right. Miss Gilly, will you please raise your right hand? And if our notary will ask Miss Gilly if she swears to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. For the record, your name is Sherilyn Sue Gilly, correct? Correct. And we are here today regarding the estate of your father, Jimmy E. Williams, correct? Correct. Now, at the time of his death, Mr. Williams was a resident of Tarrant County, Texas, correct?
Correct.
And he owned property within Tarrant County, correct?
Correct.
And he passed away on December 22nd, 2019, is that correct?
That is correct.
And he left a will, last will and testament that the court has the original, is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you a copy. Is this the last will and testament that we have presented to the court today?
Yes, it is.
And do you recognize that to be his initials on the bottom of each page and the signature on page 7?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, was this will ever modified or revoked after it was executed?
No.
And were there any children born or adopted after the execution of this will?
No.
Now, this will names your mother to be the executor, correct?
Correct.
And she's predeceased, correct?
Yes.
And right now, we are asking the court to accept this will as a muniment of title to transfer the real property that your dad owned. Is that correct?
Yes.
And at the time of his death, did he have any debts?
No.
And did he receive any Medicaid benefits?
No.
And are you asking the court to accept this will and as a muniment of title?
Yes.
I would pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Gilly, I'm going to ask you to come a little closer to the camera with the phone, and I'm going to ask you: were you in possession of the original will of Mr. Williams after he passed away?
Yes.
All right. Did you deliver that to your attorney?
Yes.
Is it your understanding that she delivered it to the court?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I believe to be as the original will. If you'll look on the screen where you can see me, is there a screen where you can see me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the screen I'm seeing is a document, but all right. This has been file marked and it's typed other than the initials at the bottom. And I'll represent to you that it's typed other than the initials at the bottom until we get to page 7. Were you familiar with Mr. Williams' signature?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm pointing to, is that his signature?
Yes.
And then this is the last page. Does this appear to be the original that you delivered to Ms. Kimball?
Yes.
All right. And what you were looking at earlier, is that a true and correct copy of the original?
Yes.
Okay. Is your father's funeral paid for?
Yes.
And any medical bills or credit cards he had, are all those paid for?
They are all paid for.
Thank you. I will find
You're
that.
welcome.
Go ahead.
I said you're welcome.
I will find that Jimmy E. Williams was a resident of Tarrant County when he passed away, and you have proved up his will in accordance with Texas law. I'll find there's no need for a formal administration, and I'll admit his will to probate as a muniment of title. I'm going to send the order along with some information to Ms. Kimball. She's going to forward that to you. It's going to tell you a little bit about a muniment of title, but it doesn't substitute for her, and I trust you'll continue to work with her.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all very much. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
All right. If you're watching us on YouTube, it's kind of par for the course with Zoom. It's just things don't work, and it's a challenge. That's why it takes us 2 to 3 times longer, along with other issues that we have. So our court is a little backed up, but I think that's going to be par for the course. It seems like the Texas Supreme Court is wanting to fundamentally change the way we practice law. So uncontested matters, as long as our citizens don't mind waiting longer to get to court, which, you know, I don't like for them, but then we can do those definitely over Zoom. It's contested matters that are a whole nother issue, because as you can see, hearing people and where people are sitting, they're not very close sometimes, resolutions sometimes not very good, sound is not sometimes very good, and especially with the masks, you can't even see facial faces that they make. So judging veracity is a little challenging these days. I think our next case is ready. I'm making some notes on this one. Mr. Bailey, welcome to probate court number 2. I did not see a hearing letter, so are we waiting for Ms. Garcia or is she in your office?
No, we're waiting for Miss Garcia, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, it's just now 11:30. I don't see her in the virtual waiting room.
Let me dial a number I have for her, Your Honor.
Okay.
We had a legal assistant had a death in her family, so we're finding out just what a poor legal assistant I am, or just being reminded of it. I always knew I was terrible at it.
Mr. Bailey, I'm going to mute you so that your conversation isn't heard on YouTube.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Apparently they're trying to join the Zoom meeting, but it's just spinning.
That happens. I know we've been on here before discussing all the Zoom issues we have, and unfortunately it just puts us more behind. I'm fine. The next person isn't here. If they come in, I'll take them and come back to you guys, but
Okay.
they just need to log out and log back in.
Okay. I'll go out. I'll ask them to go out, and then we'll both try to get back in.
Well, I can just put you in the waiting room if you want.
Okay, that would be great. You're just going to put me in the waiting room?
I'll put you in the waiting room, and when I see them, I'll let you both back in. If it is a few minutes, you'll know I've taken the next case, and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. And if you're joining us on YouTube, again, this is par for the course, and it's one reason that we unfortunately can't hear as many cases as we used to. We used to hear 3 every 15 minutes. And now one of these cases we set for about 10 minutes. Not that the questioning actually usually takes 10 minutes. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't always. But it's the Zoom issues that we have to deal with as well that really back up our docket. So I don't have anybody in our waiting room right now, so I am gonna get some work done, and I'll see you back in just a few minutes. Good morning, Mr. Early, and welcome to Probate Court 2. You are on mute, so I'll ask you to unmute yourself. I'll also remind you that we are live streaming on Facebook, or excuse me, YouTube today. So if you will please meet your burden under Texas law, but not get into too many specifics for the protection of your client and the decedent. We're here today on the estate of Helen Jean Glegern, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and your client is with you, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. This is Carol Bailey.
Hello. Hi, Ms. Bailey. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good, thank you. All right, if you will please raise your right hand. Mr. Early is going to ask you if you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Mrs. Bailey, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You can put your hand down now, and Mr. Bailey, you may continue.
Okay. Mrs. Bailey, could you please state your name for the court?
Carol Ruth Bailey.
And Mrs. Bailey, did Helen Jean Glegern die on February 15th, 2013 in Arlington, Tarrant County, Texas?
Yes, she did.
And at that time, was she 83 years of age and residing in the city of Euless, Tarrant County, Texas?
Yes, she was.
And we have submitted a document in this matter dated July 2nd, 2012 that purports to be her last will and testament, Miss Glegern's last will and testament, I've placed in front of you a document dated that same date, and a copy of the document was submitted to the court that is 11 pages long. Do you recognize this as Mrs. Gleghorn's last will and testament?
Yes, I do.
Copy. And is her signature, or excuse me, her initials affixed to the bottom right-hand corner of all 11 pages?
Yeah.
And do you recognize the signatures on the last 2 pages as her signature?
Yes, I do.
To your knowledge, did she ever amend or revoke this document?
No.
Did she have any children born to or adopted by her after the date that she signed this will?
No.
And did she have any marriage that was terminated after the date that she signed this will?
No.
But she did in fact pass away more than 4 years ago, correct?
Correct.
And was her last will and testament, to the best of your knowledge, in possession of her husband, Glenn Glegorn?
Yes, it was.
And you did not have access to that document until following his death, correct?
Correct.
And that was in August of 2019,
Yes.
correct? Does her will name the state of Texas or any charity as a beneficiary?
No.
Okay. And does there exist a necessity for an administration of her estate?
No.
We're just trying to clear title to some property, correct?
Yes.
And are you familiar with her financial affairs?
Yes, I am.
And are all of her debts paid?
Absolutely.
And did she ever apply for or receive Texas Medicaid benefits?
No.
Your Honor, no further questions. Pass the witness.
Thank you. Ms. Bailey, were you in possession of the original will once her husband passed away?
Yes.
All right. Did you send that to Mr. Early?
Yes.
Is it your understanding he delivered it to the court?
Yes.
All right. I am going to show you what I believe to be the original. It has been file marked. There are initials on the bottom. And
Yes, ma'am.
other than those initials on the bottom, it is typed until we get to page. And were you familiar with Helen's signature?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that her signature that you identified on the copy?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the last page. Does this appear to be the original will that was delivered to the court?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. I will find that Helen Jean Gleghorn, was she also known as Helen J. Gleghorn?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I will find that she was a resident of Tarrant County and you have proved up her will in accordance with Texas law. I'll find there's no need for a formal administration and I'll admit her will to probate as a mutament of title. I am going to require the compliance affidavit as I believe everything goes into a trust. And so I just want to make sure that it gets there. And I'll send the order as well as some information to your attorney who will pass that on to you. But I trust you're going to continue to work with Mr. Early on this matter.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, we're going to check back in with Mr. Bailey and see if he's found his client. Mr. Bailey, I was just checking back in for an update.
Well, I tried to forward, we got a different email address because that other one was not working very well.
Okay.
This is her now. I think they maybe are trying to get in on the 2 o'clock docket because of something that was sent previously. Excuse me.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the next case and I'll be back.
Thank you. Hello.
Good morning and welcome to Probate Court 2. We are live streaming on YouTube today, so I'll remind you not to get into specifics but obviously I need you to meet your burden under Texas law. Okay, Mr. Altic, is this your client with you? I shouldn't be looking for anyone in the virtual waiting room, correct? Okay, you are on mute. I could read your lips though, and you said correct. I'm gonna let you go off Zoom. And is there a notary with you?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Clark, if you will please raise your right hand. And if our notary will ask you if you swear to tell the truth. Oh, she's not in there.
She's coming. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Your Honor, she's here.
Karen Quick, the notary.
Good morning. Will you please ask our witness if he swears to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help him God?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Your name is Steve Clark, and you're one of the two sons of the decedent. Is that correct?
Yes.
Jean Francis Clark died on July 15th, 2020 in Arlington, Tarrant County, Texas at the age of 89. Is that correct?
Yes.
And 4 years have not elapsed since the date of death and the filing of the application. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
The court has jurisdiction and venue over the estate in that Jean Francis Clark lived in Tarrant County at the time of her death. Is that correct?
Yes.
Jean Francis Clark died testate and her will was signed on the 21st day of September of 2015. Is that correct?
Yes, and I was present when she signed it.
Okay, y'all cut out 21st day of July.
Of September of 2015.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to check your proof of facts. The order said July. And you cut out right when the month was there.
Yes.
And I do, looking at the will, it does say September. Go ahead.
Okay.
And to the best of your knowledge, this will was never revoked. Is that correct?
Yes, it was not.
And no state government agency of the state nor charitable organization is named by the will as a devicee. Is that correct?
Yes.
After the date of the will, no child was born or adopted by Jean Francis Clark. Is that correct?
Yes.
No marriage was ever dissolved after the will was made. Is that
No.
correct?
No, she was a widow.
Jean Francis Clark's will names you to serve as an independent executor to act independently without bond or other security. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then to the best of your knowledge, the proof required for probate has been made and you are not disqualified by law from accepting letters, testamentary, or from serving as executor and are entitled to such letters and is the person named in Jean Francis Clark's will. Is that correct?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, I have a proposed order in admitting the will to probate as a muniment of title.
We had requested a muniment of title as opposed to having to do a full-blown probate. Most of the estate is in investments.
Okay, just the questioning seems to be for an independent executor. So I wanted to verify, you're not asking to be appointed independent executor, correct?
Not at this time. I don't think it'll be necessary.
Okay, and who actually prepared the order?
We both did, Your Honor.
It was
okay.
This is
Well,
this.
I'm going to tell you both that the Texas probate code hasn't been around for many, many years. We have the Texas Estates Code now. So I've corrected that throughout your order. Mr. Clark, are all the debts of Jean Francis Clark paid?
Yes, there are no debts.
Okay, is the funeral paid for?
Yes.
If there were any medical bills, have those been paid for?
Yes, there weren't any.
Okay. And did Jean ever receive or apply for Medicaid?
No, she was not on Medicaid. She was on
Okay.
Medicaid.
Okay, you cut out. I assume you said Medicare, but not Medicaid. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you in possession of the original will?
Yes, and we filed it with the court.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I believe to be the original will. And there are initials at the bottom. Were you familiar with Jean's signature?
Yes.
Okay. I'll represent to you that the will is typed other than the initials until we get to page 5. What I'm pointing to is that Jean's signature.
It is.
And this is the last page. Does this appear to be the original will that you had delivered to the court?
Yes.
All right, I will find that Jean Francis Clark was a resident of Tarrant County and that you have proved up the will in accordance with Texas law. I'll find there's no need for a formal administration and I'll admit the will to probate as a muniment of title. I am going to require the compliance affidavit as it looks like there's more than one devisee. I will encourage you to look at the Texas Estates Code on that. And if you guys will file the proof, then the order will be sent to you along with some more information about a muniment of title.
Very good. I appreciate it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
y'all very much. Have a good rest of your week.
You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bailey, I still do not see them.
I had called and left a message with Tina. What I fear happened was we forwarded the 2 o'clock docket. If they tried to log in at 2 o'clock, it would still show up, I think, in your waiting room. I didn't know if there was a different connection for that or
There's
not.
a different, so there's a morning Zoom and then there's an afternoon Zoom.
Okay.
Otherwise, we get people on here all day.
That's my concern. Your Honor, is there any way for you to invite them?
Yes, if you want to use the chat menu and send me their email address.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay, instead of sending that to everyone, I'd rather.
Right, if you'll put it in the chat, because I don't have your hearing letter to tell me.
I apologize.
That's all right.
Yes, now I'm just sending it to you. Okay.
Did you use the chat function of Zoom? I don't see it.
I am doing this Zoom group chat and it's going to Judge Brooke Allen. But I've only tapped a couple of things in.
Oh, okay. Mr. Bailey, I will tell you, everything canceled except for one hearing this afternoon. One that I have you on, unless you're on the Wallace case and I don't see you. Are you on?
No, Your Honor, I don't think I have anything this afternoon.
Okay, I just didn't know you were talking about the afternoon Zoom.
Well, we had initially been sent an invitation for the afternoon Zoom that I'm afraid went through to our client.
Okay, all
And
right.
so that was
Sorry about
remedied.
that.
I
just want to make sure you didn't think you'd be back this afternoon.
No.
We didn't have it. Okay.
Now I'm looking for how I can send this to you. Oh my.
If you look, so if you go towards the bottom, there should be a mute, stop video, security, participants, and there's a chat.
Yes.
You click on chat, and then it says at the bottom right hand of your screen, it'll say type message here. If you'll just type in the email and then hit enter, it should come to me.
Well, I'm trying to get back to something that's not the Zoom. I've now been put in the post attendee Zoom. I've got to go back. Let me try to log in again, Your Honor.
Well, you're here, so it should.
Well, but all I'm getting is the Zoom icon. I'm going to hit the chat.
I can see you.
Good. I'm glad you can see me. I guess I'm glad. But now I really want this to go to just Judge Allen. And
Well, even if you put group chat, there's no one else either in my waiting room or on Zoom that will see it.
okay.
The people following us on YouTube can't see the chat,
Okay. And I'm gonna try to
at least as far as I know.
dismiss all these other wonderful.
You know what? I'm going to send you something.
Okay, because the last message I see here is the September 27th waiting room and passcode requirements.
Okay, look at chat on your Zoom screen.
And unfortunately, I've got the big Zoom screen with nothing else on it right now.
Move your mouse towards the bottom of your screen.
Uh-huh.
Do you see some things popping up?
Now we're back. Now I've got a Zoom group chat
And it
from
says
Brooke
send.
Allen to me. Send email here.
All right, so look towards the bottom right.
It's addressed. Now I'm looking as to how to send it because I've got to Judge Brooke Allen privately. I've got the right email, and now I'm looking to send.
Hit enter. If you typed it, then hit enter. Ah, I got it.
Something I never did after Little League football, and that is touchdown. They threw it to me, and I ran as fast as I could, but for some reason, I never got in that end zone.
It's not going to let me cut and paste. All right. Make sure I type it in correctly. All right, that has been sent. And if you are joining us on YouTube, welcome to Probate Court 2. I will remind you that you are welcome to watch, but you are prohibited from recording or reproduction in any manner, and you can be held in contempt of court. Mr. Bailey, if you want to let them know that they should have an email that directly from me that if they click on, they should be able to join either on a computer, iPad, cell phone, as long as it's a smartphone. I'm going to mute you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ah. I see her. All right, Mr. Bailey, you'll have to unmute yourself. Ms. Garcia, welcome to Probate Court number 2. Actually, I need to grab y'all's file. I had the next one ready. Okay, and Ms. Garcia, who's with you?
You're going to need to unmute, Ms. Garcia.
Yeah, you're going to have to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you
Got
hear
it.
us now?
Okay.
Yes.
This is Tiffany Velasquez, my granddaughter.
All right. Is she just there for moral support?
She's helping. I don't know the first thing about computers, so yes, she's here for everything.
All right. I'm just going to remind you, Ms. Garcia, I need you to testify and not receive any help from anyone else, her or anyone else in the room. So do you understand?
Okay. I do.
Will you please raise your right hand?
I'm left-handed, so I have to say okay.
All right. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your name is Mary S. Garcia.
Correct.
David C. Garcia died on October 15th, 2016 at Arlington, Tarrant County, Texas at the age of 69 years, and 4 years have not yet elapsed since the date of his death.
Correct.
He was a resident and domiciliary of Tarrant County, Texas when he died.
Yes.
He lived in Tarrant County when he died.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And he did not apply for and receive Medicaid benefits on or after March the 1st, 2005.
Correct.
When we get old enough, we all have Medicare, but he
Oh,
didn't
yes,
apply
that's
for
right. Yeah.
Medicaid.
Okay. She doesn't tell me what to do, but she's got to, explain to me. Yeah.
Ms. Garcia, she cannot explain to you, and I think I heard her answer a question that's not appropriate. If you don't understand the question that's being asked, let Mr. Bailey know, and I'm sure he will explain or rephrase.
I apologize, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, have you got a copy of Mr. Garcia's will?
I do.
Okay. Look on the 4th page. There's 5 pages. Look on the 4th page. The will is dated the 12th day of September 2014. Is that correct?
Let's see. Okay. What page? It's right here. Let me see. Oh, this must be it right here. Okay.
And I'm going to ask you if you recognize your late husband's signature on the copy of the document you have.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, you had the original of this document that you turned over to me. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then, so far as you know, I filed that with the court, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, since this date, the 12th of September 2014, he didn't do anything to change or revoke or supplement the will, right?
Correct.
And he didn't have any children born to or adopted by him after he signed his will.
Did not, right.
And his
Correct.
marital status didn't change. He was still married to you when he signed the will and up until he died. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. He didn't leave anything to the state of Texas or any governmental entity?
No.
He didn't leave anything to any charitable organization?
No.
He left everything to you. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And you are familiar with his financial situation?
Yes.
And so far as you know, he didn't owe anybody any money?
Correct.
Okay. So you're asking the court to admit the will to probate for title purposes, right?
Right.
Meaning basically, did you own a house together?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the main purposes of this is to have the will admitted to probate so that his half of the house can transfer to you in accordance with his will. Is that your understanding?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, and so it's your testimony that you don't believe there's any necessity to have a formal administration of the estate?
No.
Okay, I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
Okay. A few questions. Has his funeral been paid for?
Yes.
And if he had any medical bills, are those all paid for?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I believe to be the original will. It's been file marked.
Okay.
Our initials at the bottom.
That's his signature.
Oh, are those his initials?
I mean, his initials, I'm sorry.
Okay. And I'll represent to you, other than the initials, it's all typed until we get to page 4. And is that his signature that I'm showing you?
That's correct.
Okay. And the last page is page 5. Does this appear to be the original will that you delivered to Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bailey, the order in several places says Garcia instead of Garcia.
It did initially, Your Honor. I apologize. I've got one that's marked corrected.
Okay, well, I'll go and correct it. I was just looking on the clerks to make sure there wasn't an issue when filed, and it looks like sometimes there's an issue with the will, but it looks like the will says Garcia. So I'm going to correct that.
Well, I apologize because I hand corrected it, and I again, the way it's gone this morning,
yes.
I dare not be confident about anything that took place online.
Okay. All right. I have corrected that. Let me make sure I've got it throughout. Yep, somewhere, please.
Well, I can, since I did it already, it's going to be twice on the first page and 3 times on page 2, Your Honor.
All right. And the twice on the first page, that includes in the title, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I will find that David C. Garcia was a resident of Tarrant County when he passed away, and you have proved up his will in accordance with Texas law. I'll find there's no need for a formal administration, and I'll admit his will to probate as a muniment of title. And since you're the sole beneficiary, I've also waived the compliance affidavit. I'm going to send the order along with some information about a muniment of title to Mr. Bailey, and he'll send that to you. But it doesn't substitute for Mr. Bailey, and I trust you're going to continue to work with him on this matter.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank y'all. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We beat the statute of limitations. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. We had other person that, or one other estate that was supposed to join us is supposed to start at 12. So it is several minutes after 12. We'll give them a few more minutes. And look at the file and see if there were any issues. It looks like they had everything together. So we'll give them a few more minutes to show up, and if not, unfortunately, they may have to reschedule. If we don't see them back, then I will see you guys this afternoon. Good morning, Mr. McGee. I'll tell you you're on mute, so if you'll unmute yourself, welcome to Probate Court 2. I have your hearing. It started at noon.
We had been sent a link for the afternoon docket. And then, so I clicked on that, and then I checked my email and I saw that Tina had sent us something saying to disregard that and send us the new one. So I apologize for that. I just saw that, but I was waiting on the afternoon docket, so I apologize.
Okay. Let's see. You have a notary with you?
I am the notary.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Goss, if you'll please raise your right hand. Mr. McGee is going to ask you if you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yeah. Do you promise to swear the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
Can you
McGee.
hear it pretty good, Judge?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
And I will remind you we are live streaming on YouTube. So while I need you to meet your burden under Texas law, please don't get into any specifics for the protection of your client as well as the decedent.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. Please state your full name for the court.
Nancy Goss.
And you are well acquainted with Jane Ellen Fitzgerald, the decedent in this matter, in that she was your sister, correct?
Yes.
And you are obviously the applicant in this matter, correct?
Yes.
And Miss Fitzgerald passed away on July 6, 2020 in Haltom City, Tarrant County, Texas at the age of 80. Is that right?
Yes.
And the date of her death was obviously less than 4 years ago, correct?
Yes.
And at the time that Miss Fitzgerald passed, she was a resident of Tarrant County, Texas, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to show you a document dated April 17th, 2001. Are you familiar with this document?
Yes.
Okay. And we submitted the original to the court. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is Miss Fitzgerald's last will and testament, right?
Yes.
And during Miss Fitzgerald's life, did you become familiar with her signature?
Yes.
Okay. On pages 1, 2, 3, and 4, is that her signature?
Yes.
Okay. And it's your understanding that Miss Fitzgerald never revoked this will, correct?
Yes.
And it's your understanding that at the time that she signed this will, she was divorced and never remarried, correct?
Correct.
As well, she did not have any children born to her or adopted by her after the date of the signing of this will. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Miss Fitzgerald did not receive Medicaid benefits on or before March 1st, 2005, correct?
Correct.
And her will does not name a state, government agency, or a charitable organization as a beneficiary, correct?
Correct.
In fact, the beneficiaries are her 2 sons, who are your 2 nephews, correct?
Correct.
And she named you as her first choice of independent executrix, correct?
Yes.
And she asked that you serve independently and without bond, correct?
Yes.
And you, let me ask you a couple personal questions that we need to ask. You have never been charged with or convicted of a felony, correct?
Correct.
And you do not owe any money to your sister's estate, correct?
Correct.
And you have never declared bankruptcy, right?
Correct.
And you have never been declared mentally incompetent by a court of law, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And your sister she does have one debt that you're aware of, and that's a relatively small credit card debt, correct?
Correct.
And it's your desire, what you're going to do is once you're named executrix, you're going to pay that debt, correct?
Correct.
And your sister left a homestead behind in which you already have a buyer, correct, for the home?
Correct.
And the sales price is right around $245,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then your sister also left some financial accounts behind, but those are not going through probate as she left beneficiary designations to her sons. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And she left some just personal items, maybe worth $5,000, just general personal items, correct? Personal property behind?
Oh, correct.
Okay. And if so there is a necessity for the administration of this estate so that the house can be sold and the proceeds distributed to the beneficiaries, correct?
Correct.
And you, if you are appointed you are asking the court to appoint you as the executrix, correct?
Correct.
And if you are appointed executrix, you will work with my office to follow the rules of this court, the rules of the state of Texas, and then you will faithfully discharge the terms as set forth in this will. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I have nothing further for the witness, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Goss, do you live here in Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Were you in possession of the original will after your sister passed away?
Yes.
Did you deliver that to Mr. McGee?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is it your understanding he delivered it to the court?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what I believe to be the original will. There is a signature at the bottom. And other than, oh, well, it's typed, but on page 2, is that your sister's signature that you identified earlier?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And this is page 3. And the last page. Does this appear to be the original will that you delivered to your attorney?
Yes, it is.
All right. And what you were looking at, is that a true and correct copy of the original?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
What you were looking at earlier, was that a true and correct copy of the original?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I will find that Jane Ellen Fitzgerald was a resident of Tarrant County when she passed away, and you have proved up her will in accordance with Texas law. I'll admit her will to probate, and I'll find you a proper person to serve as independent executrix. Ms. Goss, if you'll raise your right hand one more time. Do you, Nancy Goss, solemnly swear that the writing which has been offered for probate is the last will and testament of Jane Ellen Fitzgerald, so far as you know or believe? And will you well and truly perform all the duties of independent executrix of her will and her estate?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm going to send the order along with some information to Mr. McGee. He'll send that to you. It's going to tell you your rights and obligations as an independent executrix, but it doesn't substitute for him, and I trust you'll continue to work with him.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank y'all very much. Have a good rest of your week.
Judge, can I ask you one question?
Okay.
So we've hit just a little snag possibly with the title company where Jane Ellen Fitzgerald's name on her deed to her house is Jane G. Fitzgerald, because that was her maiden name, was Goodman. Is there any way we could do an AKA on the letters of testamentary reflecting Jane G. Fitzgerald?
They won't do it unless it's in your order. Would you like to send a new proposed order?
Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay. Ms. Goss, you're still under oath. Was your sister also known as Jane G. Fitzgerald?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You should add that to the proof, and then I am going to, well, I'm not going to vacate it. It hasn't gone anywhere. I'm going to basically rip up this order, and I will wait for a new proposed order to be filed.
And we'll have that to you in 15, 20 minutes, Judge.
Okay, that doesn't mean the clerk will have it in 15 or 20 minutes. So if you don't get it today, then please follow up with Ms. Clay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes our Monday morning docket. If you've been watching us on YouTube, welcome, and you are absolutely welcome to watch, but I will remind you that recording or reproduction is prohibited. You can be held in contempt, and we'll be back this afternoon either on YouTube or Facebook.